Episode 5 of Sandman is about identity and family. It has a really interesting. This is one of the longer episodes of the season. This one actually Chris and I split into two viewings because it's definitely I think the slowest episode of the season, and we watched the first half of this on the tail end of a night when we were really tired. And then we finished it up today, a few days later. Um, So anyway, let me. I don't do spoiler free. If you haven't watched it yet, go away, come back, and you will perhaps understand it a little bit more. But you have been warned because I don't do spoiler free. So this episode starts off with Dream basically in the tavern where things blew up, and viewing Wanda's body, and he eventually makes a journey to attend the funeral of Wanda. And this was I had mentioned this in the previous episode. I was saying that this had a really powerful story of identity, but also family, because Wanda was the trans character from the previous episode who was their chauffeur. And in the previous episode, we learned that the only person in Wanda's family who would talk to her was her aunt. Everybody else in her family was super religious. And when they do the funeral, um, Dream ends up standing on the outskirts, and the aunt comes up to say hi, and even the aunt is reluctant to call Wanda by her name at first. She calls him Alvin, by the name that he was given at birth, and is reluctant to call him Wanda, which is what she became later in life. I know it's complex. Keep up. um, And Dream is very perturbed by this because in the funeral, the aunt tells him basically that the family cut Wanda's hair, put her in boys' clothes, and believed that this death was God punishing her for being trans and not being the boy that she was born as. And of course, Dream tells her that's just not true. And this is when the aunt finally breaks down and says, "Well, was Wanda happy?" And he smiles and says, "Absolutely." And we also get a moment um, here where Dream and his sister Death talk, and she convinces Dream to go off and meet with Delirium in her realm and try to console her and make up for the previous episode when he pissed her off. She's like, "I don't want to see you anymore." And then Death goes and has a really powerful conversation with Wanda, who's sitting there ready to be, moved to the great beyond. And it furthers the talk about identity and family, which is very powerful for the rest of this episode, which is all about us finding out that Dream had um, a son. And this is we find this out. He meets Delirium. They reconcile. They decide to go meet Destiny. And when they meet Destiny, he basically reveals to them that only an oracle can help them find destruction, and there's an oracle in the family. It's just that basically Dream has blocked this memory from his mind, and we now get another flashback where we are taken back to 1700 BC, and it's the wedding day of Dream's son, and he is getting married to this woman, and the whole family shows up, and there's a big feast, and as the wedding is going on, the son goes off to dance with his new bride in the forest, and she gets bitten by a snake and dies. And the son Orpheus is destroyed by this, and he had this premonition that it was going to happen before it happened, and he begs his father to intervene, to go to Hades, to go talk to Hades and Persephone, and spare his wife from, get his wife back from the afterlife, and Dream won't do it. He's like, we're not allowed to do that. You just need to accept that she's gone and move on with your life. So Orpheus goes to various siblings. Well, he goes to Destruction, and Destruction tells him, "Well, I can't help you, but you could always talk to Death." So um, Death goes to talk to Well, Orpheus talks to Death, and Death says, well, technically there is a way for you to get to the underworld, but you would have to become immortal. Um, that way you could get there and back. And he's like, I'll do it. And she's like, I don't know that you know what you're asking for. And he's like, I'll do anything. So she takes his mortality from him, and he goes off to the underworld, where he then meets Hades and Persephone, sings them a song, and begs for the life of his loved one. And they tell him that he can take his wife from Hades, from the underworld. But in order to do so, he has to walk a path, trusting that his wife is behind him as a shade, as a shadow. And he has to walk until the sunlight bathes them both. And if he turns around for any reason, she's gone forever. He gets halfway up, hears her voice behind him, or hears her footsteps, turns around, sees her for an instant. She sees him. They yell each other's names, and then she's yeeted out forever into the darkness, and he's forced to go back to the realm of the mortals. And quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload, or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. Meets back with his mother, and um, basically decides that he's going to sacrifice himself to these, I believe, the cult of Dionysus. I forget who was roaming the woods. Um, I'm checking here. Yeah, he lets himself be torn apart by the Maenads, murderous worshippers of Dionysus, but he can't die. So when he gets chopped up, they yeet his head off a cliff. And Dream comes back and finds the head on the beach, and they have this speech. And Dream is like, "I told you nothing but good would come of this. Um, I'm gonna set you up on this temple because you're immortal now with your head. Your head's gonna be immortal. I'll set you up in this temple where you'll be looked after forever. Goodbye, my son. We will never meet again." And abandons his son to his fate. And then we go back to the present time, and we are back with Destiny, Dream, and Delirium. And realizing now that he's going to have to go see his son, we are then set up for the next episode, which is another powerful episode. What I really loved about this episode, though, was it was talking about at the beginning, we were talking about the intricacies of identity and family. And then by the end of the episode, we're also still talking about the identity of family, who family is, mortal or immortal. Um, and how the actions that people will take in their lives can dictate whether or not people view them as family members or not. And the fact that blood doesn't necessarily tie one to being family. So it's a very powerful uh, um, episode in terms of the identity of a person, and family not necessarily being something that is bound by blood, but it's the people you meet along the way in your life and that you choose to associate yourself with, which I thought was very powerful. Um, Very powerful message for those out there who might not have loved ones by blood, but they might have loved ones in a support group who they have come to know over time. Great episode. One of the longer ones of the season. Episode 6 was a banger. Stay tuned. We'll get that one out shortly for the review. If you haven't watched previous episodes, there's a playlist down below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. And of course, as always, daily streams at 4:35 a.m. Central on YouTube and Twitch. We'll see you in the next one.